In this video, I'm going to be talking to you about the orphan effect and how this is literally, quite literally, ruining your life. Now, this came to me as a download this morning. I've pinned my little oracle card because this is the card that showed up intuitively as a sudden insight of this is what I need to film today. And so here I am, as always, filming the orphan effect. Now, you don't have to be an orphan watching this at all. You are literally just orphaning yourself if you are doing the following things that I'm going to be sharing in this video. But by the end of this video, I want you to step out of the orphan effect, and you'll know what this is, and become a non-orphan. And I'm going to explain exactly what this means. But if you're a victim of your life, if you feel like things aren't going your way, if you feel like everything is happening that just is the worst thing possible in your reality, in your life, then this is going to shift that. And it's also going to show you why this is happening and what the orphan effect is, okay? So let me bring this to you first, because I just want you to see this oracle card as I wipe half of my thing down. But this is from the Wisdom Oracle. So I'll just put this up here so you can see it. I just put it in my viewfinder. So if you see here clearly, this card, she is sitting down. It says orphaned on it. There is this deep wounding like sense, like everything in this background is grey. What I'll do is I might just get the image up on the screen as I'm talking in my editing so that you can see it. But there's grey, there's dullness. She is hunched over completely. It's just a depressing vibe. Like she's sitting on this rock, face of rocks. There's a face hidden underneath the rocks that she's sitting on. And it's just dull. But the number on this card is also symbolic. It's number 5, okay? And in numerology, 5 represents change. So let's dive in to what the orphan effect is and how this is keeping you stuck. What is an orphan, first of all? All right, and this is the download that came through this morning, which I found so beyond fascinating. Like, I just love working with the universe, and when these downloads and insights come through, it's amazing. So, an orphan is someone who is oneself removed, and then there's from the parental home, attracting negativity or negative experiences. So the download that came to me is the orphan being, and this is not every single orphan, right? So let's not get this twisted. This is literally just to explain the orphan effect. It's an effect. It's not the actual orphan who comes from an orphanage. This is just applying the orphan effect that can occur on a wider scale than on a minute scale. So don't get it twisted. The orphan effect, right, is oneself removed from the parental home, attracting negativity or negative experiences. Now, what this means, oneself, right? So this is you, the individual. Removed, obviously, gets taken away, right? A loss of some sort from the parents, your biological mother and father. And this is both. You have to have both, because you can't just say, oh, I don't care for my father and I've been removed from them, but I don't care. We need both. This whole universe that we operate under is masculine and feminine energies. We need both of them. And so the orphan effect, it doesn't matter what your story is around your parental wounds. This is to do with both of these areas, okay? And I'm going to explain exactly how these areas are, what I'm talking about in just a second. So stay with me. The home is your environment, your space of belonging and survival. And obviously you're attracting, this is the law of the universe. This is your vibration, your energy. And this is your beliefs and your thoughts and your feelings. Now, all of this is interconnected. Sorry about my handwriting, you guys. I'm just literally just trying to explain this. So what is the orphan effect? What is all this? If you have clicked on this video, you might have separated from your biological parents or in some way, shape or form. We might have had a falling out. You might have the mother wound, the father wound. Now this can show up if you don't know what these are and you're early on in your awakening journey or your spiritual journey. All this is an aspect of yourself that you might have left behind as a child growing up because of the way in which your parents' identity and awareness were. Okay, so what this could mean, this could be all the abuse and trauma from, if you're watching this just like me, an abusive household, not realizing, whether you realize that it was abusive or not is a completely different story for another video. But in this situation, just to understand what the orphan effect is when you slowly start to lose parts of your identity because of any one of these situations with your parents. When you grow older, you suddenly come to new realizations, and it's very easy as for humans. What we like to do is blame something outside of ourselves to feel better. Now, when we do this with our parents, because parents are the root, right? They're the root that gives birth to us, to most of our conditioning. Now, what's conditioning? I've done this in multiple videos, but just as a little repeat reminder, conditioning happens between the ages of 0 and 6, and it continues to condition long after that. But the majority of our belief system conditioning, right? What we believe to be true, that is deep wired and deeply ingrained is in our subconscious mind, which is only operating predominantly as the dominant force between the ages of 0 and 6. So imagine that period of your life. Everything that your parents were speaking about, behaving like, talking about, watching on TV, reading, educating you on, all of that becomes your inner belief system until you decide actually later on as an adult, now this doesn't fly with me. And even sometimes when you try and remove those beliefs, you can find it really hard to not be like your parents or to still carry that, some sort of that belief system around in you energetically. And this is the reason for it, right? Until we do subconscious work, it can be quite difficult to do this or make that decision. And so what the orphan effect is when we choose to, if we've had a big traumatic event, and I've been there with you guys, right? I've had the traumatic situation from my own parents and then situations that they put me through as parents as well. There's all sorts of this stuff, right? And we have to work through forgiveness, and I'm coming to that in a bit. But initially, the initial process of what happens through any one of us, whatever experience we go through, if it's connected to our parents, we will likely blame them. Now, what we are doing when we're blaming them is we're feeling that rage internally of that separation between us and our identity that got left behind. And instead of just reclaiming that identity and giving it back to ourselves and empowering ourselves, we go into this negative cycle of our thoughts and our beliefs, and we go, oh, because of you, this is what I turned out like. Because of you, I didn't get to live my dreams. Because of you, because of you, because of you. And this is feeding the orphan effect. Now, what is the orphan effect? You are removing yourself from your parental home, right? And home doesn't just mean the actual physical home. I'm talking about the home in your heart, okay? Because we all carry home a heart for our parents, no matter what they have done biologically. The majority of us, if we have our heart chakras in place and working correctly in alignment, because obviously we know like narcissists and things like that, they siphon the energy from the heart chakra. So not everybody has the capacity to love on that level, but the majority of us, and if you're a trauma victim, then you will definitely have this connection biologically, right? We are wired to love. We are wired to connect, most importantly to our parents, because they're the ones who gave birth to us. And so no matter the trauma, once we start to blame our parents for all the shit that's happening in our lives, we start to remove ourselves from them, okay? And when you do this, you are disconnecting from your source. You are disconnecting from the source that gave you life. What this is doing to you is poisoning your heart center, okay? And the way it's poisoning it is because you are going to be you're going to be sitting in a vibration of blame. Now let's get the whiteboard stuff up again. So take a picture of this, but this should be into your head already, right? So when we talk about the orphan effect, you are naturally orphaning yourself, because what is an orphan? It's somebody who doesn't have biological parents, right? They get chucked out into the world where they have to fend for themselves. Now, this is the effect that you feel like you are in because of certain situations or beliefs or whatever. When you have deep trauma within the family roots, within the culture, you can sit in this energy of blame, okay? When you sit in the energy of blame, you become a victim. Now, when we talk about blame and victimhood, right, we're talking about the law of attraction and law of vibration. Now, if you're trying to elevate, because a lot of us are on this healing journey, and there's no shame in admitting this. This is part of the journey. This is something that I've done multiple times where I've sat there in blame and I've been the victim and it's like my parents because of this, blah, blah, blah. And then realizing that actually I'm lowering my own, what I can attract into my life because of it. Because when you are the victim, you don't see the blessings. You're seeing the negative side of the coin. But guess what? We live in a world of duality. Yeah, that's why we have the yin and the yang. Masculine, feminine, emotions, feminine, and logic, masculine, logic and action. So when we are, again, two sides of the same coin, when we are blaming, we become the victim. When we move to forgive and take accountability, it's taking accountability, right? And shifting a perspective, you become the victor. This is basically the hero of your own story. And this is where, you know, I said on the card, we've got the number 5 as well with the orphan at the bottom. And I said 5 represents change in numerology. It's very easy for our identities to just want to stay in our comfort zone of what we've known. And what's easy for us is to blame somebody else because it means we don't have to take responsibility, accountability, and we don't have to forgive. But what this is doing is keeping you in the victim identity, in the victim mindset, which in turn is keeping your rate of vibration low because that's the frequency you're operating on. And this affects everything because your money, the level at which you can attract wealth, comes from the level at which you are seeing yourself and valuing yourself. If you are valuing yourself as a victim, money is going to come at you in the form of you being a victim too. If you're looking at yourself like the victim, your relationships are also going to come to you in the form of victimhood. You will continually, and I've been there, attract abusive personalities or toxic relationships because you're in the identity of the victim. You're a victim of life, you're a victim of your circumstances, you're a victim of your environment, you're a victim of everything that happens to you. The orphan effect. You've orphaned your own parents with emotions and with your logic, with your mind and with your behaviors. So in order to switch to this side, and this is the manifestation side, this is where you manifest. Because manifestation never happens without change. You have to change your identity. And when you change your identity, you are changing both your emotions and your logic, your thoughts and the action and the behaviors. Okay, there's be, do, have. You have to become first the victor of your own life. You cannot do that when you're sitting in blame. You have to then do the action steps of what a victor or a hero would do. You have to forgive. That's the action step. You have to take accountability for your own mindset. The only person who can change your mind and your inner world is you, right? And then you end up having the manifestation of whatever it is. So if you are feeling stuck in your life, and if you are completely honest with yourself, comment below. If you are truly honest with yourself, there will be something that you can find right now, because I'll be honest, right now, I blame my other half sometimes. I do it all the time where I'm just like, oh, you didn't give me enough cuddles. All I had to do was be that version of me that just gets cuddles all the time. Do the thing, which is express to him with love, like, hey, you haven't cuddled me. Can you just come and give me some more cuddles? And then I'd have it. I'd manifest it instead of going into blame, going, you know, and being the victim of, oh, I don't get enough cuddles, you don't love me enough, and starting an argument. Now that's a completely different vibration, a completely different energy, and it will manifest as an argument when I'm coming from this side versus it will come from a space of love and gentleness, and it'll manifest as somebody just coming and loving on me, right? So we always have this powerful choice of being in the orphan effect of any situation that you are feeling stuck in. And any manifestation that is not coming in, look and see in your life, where are you blaming something? And I know that this happens with entrepreneurs a lot, spiritual entrepreneurs and money. It happens with soulmates, it happens with parents, it happens with everything. And the root is parental conditioning that we really need to sit with, because a lot of forgiveness has to occur. You have to find, and the thing that I did, right, and even though there was like a lot of toxic abuse with the religious stuff, if you know my story, I've shared the entire thing on my podcast, you guys, You Are Magic. All the types of trauma and abuse that comes as part of our life are our life lessons. And we are here to master those life lessons, because that's where the wisdom comes from, you guys. All of this stuff that channels through me now with so much ease and so much effortlessness is because of the heartache, the lessons, the heartbreak for the first 30 years of my life. But the moment that I hit just around 30, it was like 28, 29, when the whole narcissist thing blew up, and I had court cases and he was trying to circumcise my little one, and I was just like, oh, going against all of my internal belief system and heartache. I moved finally from being the victim and blaming to being the victor of my own story and rewriting my entire story. Since then, I manifested my soulmate, love of my life, been together 5 years, going on to 6. This home of mine, not being near my parents, which I really didn't want to be near at the time. Healing and forgiving my parents for everything and not being in that blame identity, and being grateful for the fact that they gave birth to me and everything that I did receive, and looking at all the good things that I did receive, that I am thankful for. And even if you can't find it in your heart, maybe there is nothing that you can see the gratefulness for. The one thing that you can be grateful for is your birth, because life is the greatest blessing, right? So even if you don't have it in you to find anything, maybe you had a shitter childhood than I did, and you can't find even the singlest positive thing about it, the one thing that you can be super positive about is you were born. You only get this lifetime to really embrace your lessons and master it. Do you really want to be wasting it on this side? Blaming? Being a victim? Or do you want to be the victor and the hero of your own story and start living life to the best capacity that you can and manifest and attract whatever it is? Then you need to shift your identity. I've done another video, I think, on identity changing. I'm going to do a lot more, but so if you want some of that stuff, subscribe if you haven't already, like this video. But this is literally the work. And if you pour your effort, like I said, you have to become first before you manifest. So if you become the version of you, the future version of you, who has that happiness internally, you're not carrying around that poison in your heart, you have to become her first. You have to become him first. And then you have to do the actions that version of you would, right? If that version of you talks to your family, then you would talk to them because you would have forgiven. If that version of you talks to your family but keeps a bit of distance, then that version of you does that. If you set boundaries, whatever it is, if that version of you doesn't talk to them and you're at peace with it internally, then that's what you need to do. But in your heart center, you need to let go of the anger, the resentment, and whatever it is that your thoughts are creating internally. Even if, like I'm saying, it is abuse, and abuse is not okay. So I'm not saying that at all, right? The trauma of it as well, not okay. So you have to take responsibility and accountability to forgive so that you can move forward, because otherwise that trauma still holds power over you. Those people still hold power over you. And the only way to take that power back is to heal your wounds. Because that's the moment that you empower yourself to step into a completely new identity that is no longer a victim and is a victor of their own life and gets to call the shots, right? That's where you have change manifestation and your life starts to transform. So I hope you like this video, guys. I will definitely be doing more. I think my next video is all about the identity, actually. So you want to subscribe and keep an eye out for that. So lots of love. Mwah.